There's smoke everywhere. I've made a horrible mistake. Let me show you. I've smoked my tweeters. Oh my God, what a mess. All kidding aside, yes, I actually did smoke my tweeters. I did it when I was filming this video right over here. My DSP has 4 presets and I keep one of those presets just for low frequencies going to the subwoofer. I turned on the wrong preset, I hit play, and then I smelled a bunch of smoke. It's just one of those things that happens. Sometimes you break stuff and you don't mean to. I told my good friends at Savard what had happened and they said, no problem, we will take care of you. They hooked me up with a new set of tweeters, so let's go check them out. So this is the SQ series, the SQT SD. SQ, of course, is Savard's sound quality line. Cracking it open, ooh, a sticker. You get some rings for mounting and a couple of adhesive pads for mounting as well. And they're nice. Comes with a little short pigtail for the speaker wire. It looks to be a soft dome. I love that shiny metal ring and that black grill with the Savard logo. These look really nice. Cannot wait to get these installed and see what they are all about. Savard also sent me some SQ3Ms. M is their mid-range, so this is their sound quality mid-range. Once again, looking really, really nice. Comes with some screws. Look at that. Those look pretty cool. There's a grill. Ooh la la. So I'm not going to install these today. These will be part of a future upgrade, but I will be installing the tweeters a little bit later. And I wanted to show you this. Savard makes pods with a gasket. So you just take the gasket and put it on the speaker frame like so, and then pop it in the pod and it lines up perfectly with the screw holes. There's a hole in the back for speaker wire, 3 holes for mounting it. So you mount this on your dash and you can aim these right at your face, which is right where you want them aimed. You can use these pods to make a very easy 3-way front stage, because in addition to this SQ3M, Savard also sells a coaxial version that has a really small tweeter mounted in the middle of that mid-range. So you can grab one of those, stick it in this pod, mount a mid-bass in your doors, and you are off to the races. I'm looking forward to a chance to try out that setup, but for now the immediate need is to get the tweeters installed. You can imagine that the sound quality without tweeters is absolutely terrible. Everything sounds like absolute trash. So it's time to get to work. On the back of the tweeter there is what looks like to be a set of threads. Yeah, there's some threads in that hole. I want to take a second to say thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. There's no way I could afford to make these videos without direct viewer support. $10 patrons get an extra thank you with their name down here on the screen, and $25 patrons like Jonathan, Joaquin, JD America, Timothy, and Bo get a big shout out in the video. If you like this content, the best way to support me is to head on over to Patreon and sign up. Right here are some mounting brackets that I fabbed up a few years ago when I installed the old tweeters, and it turns out the new ones fit, so there's no reason not to reuse them. These little metal rings that came with the tweeter have some little metal teeth on the inside of them. These just clip right onto the back of the tweeter so you can secure the tweeter. The ones that I smoked had no mounting hardware of any type, so these are already a lot better because they're easier to install. After the installation process, we're going to do some measuring, and I'll share with you some of my listening impressions, so hang tight. Okay, over to the truck. This is a 3rd gen Ram and it's really easy to work on. It has this big plastic dash piece on the front part of the dash. It just pops up and you can then access the stock speaker locations. Back in an earlier video, I installed these quick disconnects on my speaker wires up under the dash. The plan here is to create something where I can easily swap out tweeters and mid-ranges to test them out for you here on YouTube. For the passenger side, it's just a matter of popping off the glove box and plugging in the wires. You may not have noticed this, there are some small plus signs on one of the speaker wires attached to the tweeter. That's going to be your positive. For the driver's side, it's the same thing. It's just a little easier to get to. All I had to do was cut the existing zip ties, plug in the tweeters, and then secure it with zip ties once again. You don't want wires hanging down from behind the dash. You'll end up snagging them with your feet and disconnecting your tweeters. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, they'll get in the way of the pedals and you'll crash the car. To screw down the mounting brackets, you'll need some type of angled screwdriver. I'll be sure to give you some links down in the video description to some options for you. This one right here is a great tool, but it barely fit between the dash and the windshield. Okay, now I gotta put the dash back together before I can listen to some music and tell you how it sounds. This song right here is from creatormix.com. They provide free music for YouTube and other forms of social media, and I use them in all of my background music. I used this exact track a little bit earlier in the video. If you wanted to do like some A/B testing, you can rewind a little bit and listen to this track, and then come back to this part of the video and listen to the actual song being played through the system. And of course, the really good music isn't YouTube approved, copyright issues and whatnot. One of the old standards for sound quality testing is Rebecca Pidgeon's Spanish Harlem. And there are a lot of things you want to listen to and listen for when playing this track, but one thing that will stand out is a thing called sibilance. That is the S and the T sounds. And if those S and T sounds are harsh, you'll need to jump into the EQ and play around with those frequencies. These tweeters sounded fine right out of the box. Another way to get an idea of just how important the tweeters are to the overall sound is a Phil Collins song, I Don't Care Anymore. This is a very vocal heavy and drum heavy song. It's all kick drums and toms. There's no snare and no cymbals. So you're thinking no snare, no cymbals. I don't need tweeters for a song like that. Well, the main fundamental for your kick drum and your toms are going to be down in the bass and mid bass region. But according to drummagazine.com, the sound of the beater hitting the kick drum or the stick hitting the toms is going to be between 3,000 and 7,000 hertz. So if you want to capture the sound of the attack and be able to get an idea of just how hard the musician is hitting the drums, you really need tweeters. These tweeters are high passed at 2,000 hertz. So all of the attack where the drummer is hitting the drum head with the stick, that's all tweeter. And my subjective opinion is that these tweeters sounded great. Definitely better than not having tweeters, and I think better than the tweeters that I smoked. But I can't say that with 100% accuracy because I couldn't do an A/B test. I'm very excited to see how they're going to sound after I get everything dialed in. That'll be a story for another video, but I did take some measurements. In this case, I just did some quick sweeps. A sweep is not the best way to do this. If you're going to actually tune, you want to use some pink noise. The first thing you're going to notice here on the plot is a big drop in level at 2,000 hertz. That's because the tweeters are attenuated in the DSP software by 9 dB. Tweeters tend to be more efficient than the rest of your speakers. So you should always start by just dropping that tweeter level. In fact, most passive crossovers are going to have a resistor to calm that tweeter down 3, maybe even 6 dB. Clearly 9 dB is too much of a cut. I'll need to bring this up another 3 dB. Now the response itself, I wouldn't exactly call it smooth, but remember this is an in-car measurement. There are a ton of reflections that are going to color the sound. You can try to EQ those out later. One thing that you will notice that is important here, the tweeter does trail off between 10,000 and 20,000 hertz. That's pretty normal for a larger tweeter. This is a 25 millimeter tweeter. That's 1 inch in freedom units. A smaller tweeter will have an easier time hitting those 10 to 20,000 hertz frequencies, something like a 3/4 inch dome or a 1/2 inch dome. Another remedy for that zone is to mount the driver on axis. In this case, my tweeters are shooting up towards the windshield, and I'm catching sound reflecting from the windshield and coming off the side of that tweeter, which really isn't the best way to do things. Angling the tweeter up a little bit or just mounting it in a pod where it's just aimed right at your face so it's on axis will remedy some of that problem and remedy some of the reflections. For that, you're going to need something like a dash pod or a pod on your A-pillar. Savard does have a pod that will fit these tweeters right here. Another option is customspeakerpods.com. They have pods that are custom fit for a wide variety of vehicles, and I've got a discount code for both of those websites down in the video description. If you want to see some A-pillar pods, check out this video right here. I'm Justin. This is the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next adventure.